Welcome to our Shabbat on this beautiful Friday. Thank you for joining us with your windows wide open and the sunshine streaming in and the smell of flowers and fresh cut grass. It's a good day. It's a good day. We are joined here by our Beth choir members who you will hear and see showcased throughout our Shabbat service. Isn't it wonderful that we are here together and we can all live as one? Hine ma tovu manayim, shevanachim gam yachad. 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 It's beautiful to see your lips moving, and I cannot wait until I actually get to hear everyone's voices together again very soon. It is time for our candle blessing, and during this service, we will be utilizing our Shirenu. I hope that some of you have this at home. Since we're not doing the screen thing, I'm not that technically savvy. But on page 120, you can join us with the candle blessing as Sarah, in honor of her birthday this week, will lead us in the candle lighting.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Sarah. And now I'd like to turn to page 142 and bring Marilyn and Joe to the microphone as they will, as best as we can, do a duet on Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShoret, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Lechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
V'choni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Joe. At this time, we turn to 146 in our prayer book, And those who are able to, please rise for our call to worship. Scott will lead us in the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed.
Thank you, Scott. You may be seated. And please turn to 152 as Marilyn will lead us in the Shema and continuing with the V'ahavta on page 154.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'kol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzavacha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta baham, vishiftecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha alvaderech, uvshartam liod uvakumecha, ukshartam liod al yadecha, vihayula totafot beinenecha, uchtaptam, al mizuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai beitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hatzieitechem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liayot halem lelohim ahani Adonai Elohechem.
Thank you, Marilyn. Turn to the reading on page 157 as we prepare for the Micha Mocha. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. And I would like to bring Claudia and Bill to the front and have them lead us in the Micha Mocha on page 158.
Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi como bo elimadonai, mi como nedor bakodesh, no rota hilot. O say fella, no rata hilo, o say fella. Malchutecho rauvanecha, Bokeya lifnei Moshe. Zeli v'yam Amru, Seili Anubi Amru, Adonai Yimlo, Leolam Vaed, Adonai Yimlo, Leolam Vaed. Mi kamocha limadonai, mi kamocha nedor bakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele.
Nice. It's always nice to have that husband and wife team. Love it, love it, love it. All right, Joe, we are turning the microphone over to you. We're going to turn to page 162 in your prayer book and follow along with Joe on the Vishamru.
Yeah, coming. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorat avarith haolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorat avarith haolam. Beini ubein b'nei Yisrael, Oti leolam, Oti leolam, Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat letorot haberit olam. Beini ubein b'nei Yisrael, Oti elam, Oti Olam. Make this the last verse. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorot haberit olam.
Very nice. Thank you, Joe. Renee, before we go into the Amidah or into the Tefillah and Amidah, which are on page 164 and then into 166, I'd like to do that short little poem right there at the very beginning on page 163. Thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There's a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Those who like to rise.
You may rise if you wish. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilateka. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Yom, Gomel Kasadim Tovim, Bekane Hako, Bezake Aste Avot V'imaot, Umevi Gulam Lifnei Nehem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozeh Umoshia Munhagim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atagi Borle Olam Adonai, Mekaye Hakol Atah Rab Lechoshia, Mekalkel Kayim Bekesed, Mekaye Hakol Ber Rakanim Rabim, Sof Mech Noflim Berofe Holim, Umatir Rasurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei yafa michal moka ba'al gevurot umido melak melek memi tumechaye umat miach Yeshua V'nehema ata lecha yotaku, Baruch atah Adonai, mekayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'kol yam lelukucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Amen.
Seated.
Thank you, Renee. You may be seated. So when we say the names for healing, sometimes there's a delay for those of you who may be on Facebook. So I'm going to let you go ahead and put those names in for healing at this time, or in the comments if you'd like, while we talk about, as we prepare for the Misha Barak prayer, which will be on 5:11 in your prayer book. It's a time of healing for our planet, for Israel, for all of the countries of the world, for our hearts, for our spirits. And with that, let's see what other names we have to add to our list for healing.
Franz Nicken.
Danny Moore. And Diane and Frank Gettner.
Bonnie Bromberg.
Ruthie Chiger.
The McLeod family.
Do we have a Misha Berach? Do we have a Misha Berach? Anybody sick?
Jim.
Gail, do we have any names showing up on Facebook?
Tim Sweeney.
I put them in chat.
Maureen Moody Scott. Fran Levine. And I believe that is it. At this time, I'd like to let
Am Strapko.
Ruth Boda. Ruth DePriest.
Knocklier.
And Steve Boda.
And Razel Shel Nachum Blima.
And you will turn to page 511 in your prayer book and follow along as Scott Beckerman will lead us in the Misha Barak prayer.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Limotenu
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebera imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Scott. As we prepare for our prayer of peace, we will turn to page 178. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the world. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land, and plant virtue in every soul. And may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. If you'd like to follow along, as Sarah will lead us in Shalom Rab on page 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. B'chol eit u'b'chol shah Bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
This time we'll take a few moments for private and quiet reflection and meditation. And in a moment, we will turn to Yehiyu on page 285, and Diane will lead us in that.
Yehiyu laratzon, imrefi vehekyon libi, Lefnaneka Dodonai, Suri Ali. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Amen.
Thank you. We could talk about Torah portions. We could talk about stuff going on in the world. But instead, Moody Kablawi, a 19-year-old Palestinian rapper, is one of the original members of Heartbeat. You may have heard that name. They're an Israeli-Palestinian youth ensemble who were formed somewhere around 2012, 2014, and the hopes to create dialogue and change through music. On a CBS interview, they said, "We want to show how hard our reality is." Executive director Aaron Schneier formed the group actually officially in 2007 from a Fulbright MTVU fellowship aimed at studying how music can build mutual understanding. Israeli guitarist Guy Geffen says having Israelis and Palestinians working side by side is often viewed as controversial. Some people get very intense around the idea. They're fearful and they think that we are talking about giving rights to one side and taking them from the other. But Heartbeat doesn't take sides, and their performances are a living example. They incorporate Middle Eastern traditional sounds with a pop punch, and they hope to create music for a larger audience singing in Hebrew, Arabic, and English. But that's just one. Micah Hendler, YMCA choir director. In 2012, after being a part of summer camps here in the U.S., he moved to Israel to start a Palestinian Israeli kids choir. In 2014, during one of the extreme conflicts in Gaza, a rehearsal had been scheduled, and the message was sent out to all the students: if you feel like you're going to be in danger, please don't come, although they did not cancel the rehearsal with the message that in spite of the war around us, we are open for business. During that rehearsal, a girl shows up from a neighborhood that had recently been devastated and was under curfew. Happy to see her and grateful that she was okay, they asked her, "Why did you come tonight?" She said, "I was sitting in my house, listening to the gunfire, smelling the tear gas, and going a little crazy. So I left and I started walking here. Guards tried to stop me, but I ran, and now I'm here. This is where I wanted to be." As of 2017, this choir was still performing. Common Sounds, a children's choir founded by Leah Zait in 2017. Arab Jewish children's choir. At the time, they were mostly touring in Northern Galilee, bringing together different groups of school-age children from Arab and Jewish schools, bringing them together, believing that younger children can begin breaking down prejudices at early ages. Rana Choir, spelled R-A-N-A, I believe it's pronounced Rana, a group of Arab and Jewish women of all ages who have met weekly for years and years and years to do what they love most, to sing. "We just love to sing together." One of the choir's Jewish members says, "Doing something we really, really love creates a strong bond. The politics come later." The choir's signature song, oddly enough, is Chad Gad Yah, which we're familiar with. And it doesn't seem to bother any of the Arab women, quite the opposite. "I hope that everyone in the Middle East will hear us sing," said one of the members. "My dream is that we'll perform in Arab countries so they know that peace will come from here, and only women can bring peace." As of 2019 to 22, they were still traveling and performing, including a very special edition on TEDx Talks, which I highly recommend. David Broza doesn't want the social political importance of his album that came out in 2014, East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem. He doesn't want it to eclipse the fact that, well, it was his next album. The message for his Israeli musicians, well, when they got home and they started talking about it, they realized that they actually had seen through the wall, not the wall that was built to divide the West Bank and Israel, but the psychological divide, which is a deep one. After so many years of conflict, you're conditioned not to trust each other. But if you walk through that wall of disbelief and the uncomfortable turf and you suddenly feel comfortable, if we respect each other and harmonize with each other, we can totally disagree, but at least we look at each other in the eye and say so and not hide behind the guns. It makes you feel better about where we live and less threatened by the politics of it all. And then you can use that as the beginning of a bridge to look seriously at a way to bring down those walls and bring people together on a positive note. So as you can see, my theme is Palestinians and Israelis making music together. I don't know politics, and I'm still a baby as far as a student of Torah, but I know that music builds bridges. Same face in the Gaza is the same face I see out in California. Same face in Jericho is the same face I see down in Mexico. Same face in Tel Aviv is the same face I see out in New Jersey. So many places all share the same faces. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Same face in Haifa is the same face out in Nevada. Same face in Nablus is the same face in Orleans singing the blues. Same face in London town is the same face in Kingston town. So many places, all the same faces. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Feet in the sand, eyes in the sky, ears to the wall, saying we'll wonder if change will ever come along. Spread a little love in the morning, spread a little love in the evening, spread a little love before you put your head down. Maybe when you wake up, the world will be a better place. I know you know it now. Let me see your lips moving. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, Shalom, Salam. Thank you, David Broza, for writing a great song. Timeless. Let's turn to our Aleinu on page 586. And I would like Diane and Richard to lead us, please.
Aleinu l'shabach l'adon ha'kol, l'tekedu l'aliyotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'peyo yeharatzon, velo samanu k'mishpachot hadamah, shelo sam kelkenu kahem, v'gor alenu k'kol hamonam, Banaknu Karim, Umishakalim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malkei Hamlakim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. U'shamo, u'shamo, u'shamo echad.
As we prepare for our Kaddish prayer, please feel free to put names in the comments. Once again, if you are on Facebook, so we can read those names after a very special reading from Claudia and Bill.
When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. This week's yard site list is Ashlyn Grace Jr., Barbara Jane Freed, Bill's sister, Manny Rose, Dr. Frank Villani, Edith Bookhamer, Erica Garfunkel, David Jacobs, Rita Molnar, and the congregation extends our deepest sympathies to Jackie Fishman on the death of her husband, Harold Fishman, this week.
Are there any other names?
Are there any other names?
Sharon Markey.
Regina Champion.
Stephen Sure.
That's true.
Are there any other names from Facebook? If not, then please join us with the Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalmad divra kirite v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye t'kol Beit Yisrael v'agala v'izman k'ariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam almayah.
Amen.
Yit barak v'yishtabak v'yit ba'ar v'yit raman v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit halev v'yit halal shemei dekudusha b'rechu le'olam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiram b'yalma v'imru omen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru omen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru omen.
May God grant abundant peace and life to us and to all Israel. And let us say,
Amen.
Oh, thank you, Claudia. Do we have any, well, actually, let's go into our Kiddush and Hamotzi. I'm going to unmute you. I'm asking to unmute you, Mr. Joe. We're going to turn to the bottom of 604 and 606. You have your wine and your challah ready. Joe, I just asked to unmute you. Can you click that little button so we can hear you? I want to hear your beautiful voice.
Is that better?
Yep, we got you now.
I'll start from the top. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei v'ri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yahavo v'ratzon v'inchilanu zikaron l'mahaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikro kodesh zecher l'tziyah Yisrael. Kivanu v'charta, v'yatanu kidashta, v'kol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahavahu v'rason, hinchatanu, v'haruch ha'ata Adonai, v'hekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyous prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Before we do our final song, which we have all worked so long on and rehearsed for many hours on, yes, are there any special announcements? New babies, new weddings, anyone win the lottery? Helen has a lot to say, but she's not letting us hear her. She's like, no. Okay, that's it. All right. So if we could, I don't know if this is in our prayer book, if we could make sure that the microphones are open for those of you joining us on this one. I've got Marilyn, Scott, Sarah, and Claudia, and Bill. So the rest of you, if you don't mind, if you could put yourselves on mute just so I can focus on their beautiful voices, And Renee, are you still there too? Because I'm gonna bring you in between. Okay, I'll do the first, I'll bring you on the second chorus, okay? Here we go. Whether we're in a time of a peace treaty or not, I always believe that prayers of peace and words of peace, they give us peace. And hopefully the people who are listening, it gives them comfort also. Thus is the purpose of this song. Here we go. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Marilyn?
We believe in peace. We believe in peace. We believe in peace. We believe in peace.
Renee, add in that chorus.
Salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
Scott?
We will work for peace. We will work for peace. We will work for peace. We will work for peace.
Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Sarah?
We can live in peace. We can live in peace. We can live in peace. We can live in peace.
Renee?
Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
And Claudia?
We will pray for peace. We will pray for peace. We will pray for peace. We will pray for peace.
Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Thank you. Unmute yourselves and say something beautiful. Meow.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom,
Shabbat
everybody.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
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 Shabbat
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Thank you.
shalom.
Shalom, everybody.
Have a
Bye,
good weekend.
Bob.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye-bye.
Was that